Welcome to the Whole Church Podcast.
Your favorite church unity podcast.
Probably.
If you want to hear from pastors,
Professors.
and everything in between,
Right, sure.
and, the occasional train talk.
Right, yeah. Have we got the podcast for you?
Welcome back to the Whole Church Podcast. We're very happy to have TJ back with us. He missed the last episode.
Hello.
Today we're going to refer to him as, I don't know. What would you like your name to be today, TJ?
TJ.
Yeah, Telephone Johns. That works.
Yeah. No. Teajay.
Oh, okay. Like that. That's like actually two names. So
Yeah.
TJ just stands for TJ.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so before we jump into everything too much, we are here with my aunt, Jeannie Mattingly. I always want to say Null, because I feel like everyone related to me is a Null, even on my mom's side, which just clearly isn't how that works. yeah, no, they're a Null, it's fine. Tiffany's a Null now, so that's cool.
That's right.
So I'll get that one right eventually. Yeah, so we're here with her. She is a nurse practitioner in... Do you practice in Taylorsville? I know you live... I don't know.
No, actually, I practice in Shelbyville, Kentucky.
Shelbyville, Kentucky. Okay. Awesome. And we'll ask her lots of questions about what she does and how the church can better be united in supporting those in the medical system during this crisis with the coronavirus. Before we do, we want to talk about our needs. My aunt, Jeannie, is actually one of our 6 Patreons. So, patrons. That's the correct way. TJ usually corrects me. But, yeah. So, she's one of those. So, if you all decide to be Patreon, we might include you on the podcast one time. There you go. That's your incentive. Be like Aunt Jeannie. Which we really appreciate that, Jeannie. We really appreciate all of our patrons. And in order to support us there, you just go to patreon.com/the Whole Church Podcast. Those donations go to stuff like this microphone. We pay for being able to do Skype calls and sometimes gas and stuff. Basic needs in recording the podcast. Those needs don't go away during this whole pandemic we're going through. I know a lot of places are struggling. Your churches need your donations. Your fast food places still need to make money, and we also still need y'all's support. So if y'all are able, we would appreciate it. What's some of our other needs, TJ, other than someone running the Twitter account?
Well, we'd like it if someone would make us a new theme song. If we could find a new theme song for the podcast, that'd be great.
Yeah, what if we just had me go on and go do-do-do-do-do-do?
That's an ending thing.
Oh, okay. So what if I start with dee-da-da-ba-doo-boo?
That still sounds like an ending thing.
Okay.
Yeah, the descending melody is what makes it sound like it's ending.
Oh, well, apparently that's all I know how to do, so... So we still need someone to help with the
if you'd like to try your hand at music composition, please be our guest.
Yeah, or if you know somebody who can do that, that'd be cool. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and if you can share our stuff, the more shares, the more people see it. More people are aware that church unity is a need, which makes it more likely to happen. So you guys can help us a lot just by sharing, liking, commenting, any of that sort of things. Taking over our Twitter account, because I don't know how to do it, and tweeting for us, and then getting on your account and retweeting the tweet that you made on our account. That would be very helpful.
Right.
Anything else, TJ?
Not that comes to mind.
Awesome. So, in honor of missing TJ for a week, our silly question today is going to be, which media duo is your least favorite? What is your least favorite media duo? It could be from TV show, movie, music, anything. Some examples. If for some reason your least favorite is Sean and Gus, you could say that. Rizzoli and Isles, Scooby and Shaggy, whatever. We encourage people who follow us on any social media to send us theirs, just because it'd be interesting to see. I'll go first, and then we'll let TJ go. And then, Jeannie, we're going to ask you what your least favorite media duo is.
Right now?
Yeah, we'll go first. We'll let you think about it.
Okay.
Mine is going to be the Quicksilver Scarlet Witch of the MCU. when they were together on Age of Ultron. I did not like them two together. They just annoyed me.
Wait, why not?
I didn't like that Quicksilver. I thought he was just whiny.
That's the correct reason.
They should go back and fix it somehow.
Fox tried.
Yeah.
They did better, but
yeah. I guess it's a hard character to do for some reason, but I don't know, man. They were just not. They were unpleasant. It was probably the worst part of that movie.
And they just let him. Whatever.
Yeah. No
I could talk about that. Quicksilver is one of my favorites. I could talk about that specific iteration of Quicksilver for the runtime.
I don't think you should.
I won't.
But TJ, what is your least favorite media duo? You can say TJ and Joshua, but I'd prefer you didn't.
Okay. So this was a deceptively hard question. So when you say media duo, you only listed shows, and your example is from a movie. So I'm assuming athletes don't count.
I think we could take it. I think that'll work.
All right.
Because I said music works too.
Okay, so my initial thought wasn't athletes; it was George Lucas and dialogue. That's not really.
That's not a duo.
That's not a duo.
Just like bad George Lucas is bad at.
Yeah, he's terrible at it. It's the worst duo in any movie. So I think my answer would actually have to be, and I'm sorry, I know not a lot of our listeners are going to get this, but Alexander Ovechkin and Tom Wilson.
Please tell me that's
from from the Washington Capitals.
Do you know, that's one of the weird things from this whole quarantine, is I find myself missing random quirks from people. I'll just be, at work, and I'm like, man, I haven't heard TJ tell me a hockey fact I don't care about in a long time.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, Alexander Ovechkin is one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. A lot of people believe he's going to pass Wayne Gretzky's scoring record by the end of his career, not soon. But basically, Tom Wilson will just cross-check, which is not legal. He just hits a defender with his stick to give Alexander Ovechkin the space he needs to shoot the puck. So that's pretty much my least favorite thing.
Just because it's not legal in hockey.
It's just not cool.
Yeah. You know, I think whenever we redo our theme song, we should redo our voiceovers. And instead of saying, in the occasional train talk, you should say the occasional hockey talk. Because I think you talk about that more than I talk about trains at this point.
I definitely do.
I'm proud of you for that. You're doing great.
Yeah.
All right. Jeannie, who is your least favorite media duo? It can be music, it can be movies, shows, whatever. Apparently hockey.
It is Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Ooh.
Really?
Why?
Because she's stolen from Jennifer Aniston.
Oh.
I don't know anything about.
They're not even together anymore.
Exactly. They shouldn't be together. They should not have been together.
It was just a waste.
Exactly.
You're upset that they wasted our time with their relationship.
Too late. Exactly.
They wasted ours and Jennifer Aniston's time.
All of them.
Exactly. Everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a really quick response. You've thought about this before.
Yeah. I just like Brad Pitt on, he was doing that, with the Property Brothers, where they do that, Celebrity IOU. Have you watched that?
I know about it. I haven't really watched it. But, I think my mom watches it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And he was on there.
Funny.
And I was just thinking, he should have been with Jennifer this entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. You heard her, Brad. If you're listening to this, we're upset.
That's right, we're upset.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Now we know.
Now we know. So now that we all know each other a little bit better.
Yeah, I didn't really have any clue who she was till just now.
Yeah.
Knowing that she's upset at Brad Pitt helped me know my aunt so much better.
That's right.
So, Jeannie, you are a nurse practitioner.
Correct.
Yeah. And so what can you tell us about your job and your qualifications as a nurse practitioner?
Well, to be a nurse practitioner, first of all, you are a registered nurse, which means, I've done floor nursing, I've done ER nursing, I've done ICU, I've done open heart recovery, and then you get your master's, and then you practice pretty much as if you were the provider. I do basically the same thing a doctor does. And in the state of Kentucky, after you have practiced as a nurse practitioner for 4 years, you no longer need a collaboration with another provider. You can practice on your own in the state of Kentucky. So that's what I do. I work at a clinic that I run myself with my front desk worker and my medical assistant.
Right. So how exactly is it different from being a doctor?
Well, unfortunately, pay is different.
Right.
And insurance companies will only, I could do the exact same thing that the doctor is doing for a patient, but the doctor can charge 3 times more for that patient than I can.
Wow.
I'm sure the patients appreciate that.
So, yeah. So that's why they usually, when they ask you, would you want to see the doctor or the nurse practitioner? Most people will say nurse practitioner because they know it's going to be cheaper.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have your doctor's in nursing, though, right?
No, I didn't get my doctorate. I just have my master's.
Okay. Does it really do anything different?
No, just people will call you doctor instead of, your first name. I just have everybody call me by my first name, so,
I'll do the whole British accent and call you the doctor if it makes you feel better, but I'll need you to say I want to see occasionally.
It'll make you feel worse, so.
Make you feel worse?
Yeah. So, if you got your doctorate, would you, I know you would technically be a doctor, but you would still be a nurse practitioner, right?
Right, I would just have a doctorate of nursing.
That's you should become a doctor nurse practitioner. That's your fun title now. Yeah.
I would, but that's another $100,000 that I'm not ready to spend.
Yeah, that's
right. Title.
So how is it? Yeah, I got you. So how is it different than being a regular nurse?
I can prescribe medicine. I can treat just about any illness. Now, granted, doctors, they have more schooling than, of course, we do. I went to school for 7 years, and most doctors are in school for 8, and then they do 8 years of rotation. But the thing with nursing is a lot of it is taught at the bedside, so we don't spend we're 2 years in classes, and then that 3rd year, you're pretty much in the hospital doing things.
Right.
And then that 4th year, you're...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. And then that 4th year, it's all in the hospital. And so, we take tests just like they do. Everybody has to be board certified. So, but yeah, to be different, it's, 3 years of schooling, and I'm able to write prescriptions. I can write, for scheduled drugs or non-scheduled. I can write for x-rays. I can write for, I can set a broken bone. I can read x-rays. I can look at ultrasounds. I can do all that.
Wow. So it's less
someone, but I can sew them up.
Right.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the end of the podcast, actually. I just wanted to flex that my aunt was cooler than your aunt. All right, y'all have a great day. No, I'm kidding.
Right, so it's essentially less schoolwork, less classwork, and you make up for it with hands-on stuff.
Right.
Cool.
And most doctors, they're going to specialize, they have to learn every little aspect of like they'll have to go to neurology, they have to go into surgery, they have to learn ortho, they have to learn peds, they have to learn labor and delivery. They learn it all, and then they decide what they want to specialize in. So that's how come, a doctor, he knows a little about a lot of things, but he's going to specialize in just like one thing. Like an ER doctor, he's just doing emergency medicine. Your family doctor is just doing family medicine. Your orthopedics, just doing joints and bones and muscles and things like that. But like for nurse practitioners, most of us are in family. So, we dabble in everything.
Right. So it's like general practice.
Joint injection. Yeah, it's like a general practice. Yeah. Like
That's
I can
awesome.
do a joint injection one day, or I can write an antibiotic for your sinus infection.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's whenever we have family functions, everybody pretty much gets a checkup, whether they want it or not. So I always feel like I leave healthier than I go when I visit Kentucky. I mean, so this is a really interesting time to be in the medical field, right? With the whole COVID-19 pandemic stuff going on. Jeannie, I gotta ask, are people freaking out enough? Should we be freaking out more? Do I have enough toilet paper, do you think?
I think the world has enough toilet paper, yes. I don't think people that, they're not taking it serious, and to be honest, there are some of my colleagues that don't take it serious. But the thing is that people need to understand is that COVID has been around for a long time, but this is a different strand of COVID. Okay, it's kind of like the flu. And you notice how you can get the flu one year, but you can also get it the next year. The body didn't actually build up an immunity to it because there's a different strand that has now developed that has learned to fight off, whatever we have thrown at it. It's learned to adapt and to live. That's what viruses try to do. They're always trying to figure out a way that they can mutate and they can live because they don't want to die. They don't want to go away.
Right.
Just like us.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much one of the core building blocks of sentient or sub-sentient life is I would kind of like to keep living.
Yeah, that's why I grew my third arm. You just got to mutate and adapt.
Right.
Yeah.
like Darwin from X-Men First Class.
Oh, goodness. Okay, but as far as how people are reacting, is it helpful for them to panic more in the sense of going and getting stuff in the store and stocking up so that they can stay home? Or is it more helpful if they just kind of day by day kind of keep their calm and just do what they need, but go into the store more because they didn't buy it all at once?
You need to get what you need and try to get what you need to last you for 2 weeks. You don't need, 48 rolls of toilet paper to get through 2 weeks.
Oh,
10 rolls will probably do it. You don't need to buy 3, or 4 gallons of milk when 2 gallons might get you through 2 weeks. That's the thing. People are panicking and they're buying a bunch, and then other people are like, it's no big deal. I went into Walmart and you see people with masks and they're wearing gloves and they're touching everything with their gloves. They're touching their face. They're digging in their purse. And it's okay, those gloves are dirty. And they hold on to things way more than your hands do.
So they shouldn't wear gloves?
I think the gloves cause, for me, the way I feel about it, I think it causes more contamination because people forget that the gloves are even on.
Right.
So they're touching everything and then they're scratching their face or they're putting their hair behind their ears or they're patting their kids on top of the head or,
Yeah.
And it's okay, so what is the purpose of those gloves again?
Yeah. We talked about this before we recorded. It reminded me of when I first started at Chipotle. Because Chipotle is, what I used to think was crazy about. Change your gloves, change your gloves. I remember literally I'd adjust my hat and they'd say, change your gloves. I'd flip the chicken, change your gloves. Salt the chicken, change your gloves. You handle someone's money, change your gloves. Everything you do, you have to change your gloves. So unless you're taking a box of gloves with you, it's kind of hard to do that in the Walmart.
Exactly, but it's a lot easier to hand sanitize your hands in between all that.
Yeah, be like Monk. Just have hand sanitizer with you at all times.
Right.
Mm-hmm. See, the problem is
that's
people wear gloves. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, people are wearing gloves, and then you see them in the car, and they're putting all their groceries in. They're opening their door, and then they'll throw them in the parking lot. And it's like, okay, well, that's really great for the environment. Good job.
Wonderful.
You didn't save yourself from contaminating anything because you touched everything with the gloves on.
And you killed a turtle.
Yeah, and you killed a turtle.
That's just sad. So, obviously, there's lots of places people can go to get information about COVID-19 and the whole the virus stuff, which we do want to talk about that stuff. But also, I would like to focus on how churches are interacting with it. The whole church podcast seems like a good thing for us to address.
Yeah.
Now, some people, I'm not sure people seen it on the news, there are still some churches who are holding services anyway, whether secretively or whatever, and they've been caught, and some viruses have spread from that, and that kind of stuff. Do you think, well, first off, let's get away. People should not be having church services right now, right?
I don't think so. I mean, with the world that we live in right now, I can see my pastor on TV or my computer every Sunday. He does a web podcast just like you do, for weekly devotions and services. He has a number. You can call and talk to him if you want to talk to him, So there's plenty of ways that you can still stay in contact, like you were talking about Zoom. I can see my patients on Zoom. You can get your own little Zoom account. Our church actually has one of the pastors does that every Wednesday. He has a class with Zoom so that the people that are on there can interact with him, just like if they were in the classroom together. And you're safe, and you're at home, and you're not spreading any germs.
Yeah, we actually have a friend who used drive-in stuff to have a drive-in church where they had like the speakers in people's cars so no one left their car. I thought that was an interesting idea. But then you got to wonder if the speakers are sanitized.
Right, and we did that too. They for Easter they did the communion. They had it self-packaged in little packages, and they just held the bucket up and had everybody just take one.
Yeah, I know.
So you can still do communion and not, be sitting, 1 foot away from somebody and them start coughing and you start screaming because you're like, you're getting COVID.
It's really interesting. We see more of the church online than ever, which is something obviously I've pushed for a while. I think it's good to be out where people are anyway, because people are always on Facebook, on Instagram, and now we're seeing a lot of churches who usually they do 2 services a week are doing something online almost every day. Again, we still have these churches who are meeting in person though, and that's that can be an issue. I think the big thing with that is I actually have a professor who's doing an online series on YouTube, which I might put it on put the link in the podcast notes, where he's talking about the book of Proverbs in wisdom and how God values wisdom, and how right now a lot of people are trying to resist wisdom, which he equates to resisting God because God gave us wisdom.
Right, and he also gave us rules that we must follow. And so if your governor is telling you, please don't have church services until the end of April, the 1st of May, and let us reevaluate, then when you break the law, are you not breaking God's will? God wants us to follow the rules of the land, just like he said, when they were, when he was in the church, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. He was talking about the money.
Yeah.
Remember that story?
Yeah. Well, it makes me think too of I don't know exactly where it is, but one of Paul's letters writes about how God's not a God of confusion, but he's a God of order, right? So we have order, we have a law for a reason. Yeah.
Exactly. So isn't that, when you break the law, they're not saying you have to no longer worship or take off, anything about God or give up your Bibles, you know, and I think that's what a lot of people are thinking, a lot of the older ones, you know, they think, well, this must be the end of times. They're asking me to give up, you know, gathering at church, having my religion. And they're not asking you to do that.
Yeah, I saw a pastor tweet something on Twitter. I thought it was really interesting because, I mean, I had mixed feelings about it, where he was tweeting an article from Alabama where the governor is saying that they're still going to be doing abortion clinics. They prevented anyone from closing abortion clinics, but they're not allowing church services. And he's like, well, that's kind of hypocritical. Blah. On one hand, I understand being against abortions, period. But there's a difference in private and public meetings. I just don't know exactly how to go with that because, like you said, you know, even a lot of urgent care places are shutting down to give doctors the ability or nurses the ability to go to places that need them right now, right?
Right.
So is that do you think that's a fair comparison, comparing where they're closing churches?
Well, the thing about churches is, you know, like, when you're, like, I still see patients in my office, but I see them one at a time. Me and my staff, we wear our masks, we wear our gloves, we wear our, you know, all of our protective equipment that we need, and we see just the one patient at a time. You know? So that patient, yeah, we're exposing ourselves to them, but we're not exposing them to anyone else. And yeah, you know, I don't agree with abortion, but you don't know why they're getting an abortion. You don't know, is it a medical reason? Is it, you know, choosing between you living and the baby living, or you don't know why. You know, and it might be something like that. But I know some people are comparing it to like Walmart. Well, there's like, you know, 50 people in Walmart just walking around. So yeah, but they're not walking around together, holding hands, shaking hands, and greeting each other with hugs, and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, the political or religious battle against abortion should still be happening, but that's not directly translates into what should or should not be opened right now. It's two different topics, right?
It's two different topics, yeah. It's still considered a necessity because it's a medical procedure that has to be done for whatever reason. Okay?
And
a lot of states don't allow you not to have an abortion after you're, 3 months along.
Yeah, and those laws we've had about abortion aren't changing because of this. They're just keeping the places open. So, however you feel about the policies, vote on it next time to be voted, but that's not necessarily has anything to do with the pandemic right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So, what do you think churches should do in response to this?
I think that if you feel like you need to, see your pastor, there's ways to do that. If you want to, I've seen, churches here in my hometown where they park in the parking lot and everybody's, 6 feet away from each other. And they open their trunks and everybody's sitting there, but they're not congregated, but he has a microphone where everybody can hear him. So you're outside and he's still preaching, but you're not congregating and being close to each other. So if you feel like your church has to have a service, then limit the number of people that can come. Have them park their cars 6 feet apart, preach your sermon, and then bring in the next wave if you have more than 50 people that are coming. You've got to be safe because this is not going to go away. I've already been on calls and conferences where they're talking about the second wave of the COVID is coming in. And the second wave is going to be worse than the first. Because, like I said, viruses don't like to die, so they always find a way to live.
Yeah.
Right. Which makes sense to me.
Yeah. So whereas church may be a priority, but so is safety, and so is wisdom. That's a biblical concept. As far as I'm aware, and I know maybe some of the people who are in the Catholic Church wouldn't see eye to eye with me on this one, but the Bible never says you have to go to a church service. However, it does say you have to practice wisdom. So it kind of has to.
And here's what they don't understand about the social distancing is you're given that virus. When we congregate, we're like a little petri dish, and we're giving that virus a host to go and live in. But if we isolate ourselves away from the people who are sick and only let the people who are sick go to the hospitals and be treated, then eventually we eliminate a host for the virus.
Right.
So once it gets eradicated, because we're all social distance ourselves, it no longer has a host that it can connect to.
Yeah, I've seen circulating. I'm a big fan of the show Scrubs, and I've seen in circulation they've been sharing that video from one of the episodes where a doctor that nobody liked just got fired, picked up something off the ground that had a virus, and he touched somebody, and it like glowed green or something, and everybody he touched would glow green, until eventually went to a patient that everyone watching the show has developed feelings for. You really like this patient, you connected with the character. They touch her, she glows green, she dies. And they've been kind of circulating that video showing, hey, this is how stuff spreads. You got to be super careful right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not, and everybody thinks, oh, well, they're taking away my civil rights. No, they're trying to protect the mass of people. We're not trying to take away anybody's civil rights or, saying you can't do this, you can't do that. We're saying, maybe you are fine. You're 20 years old. You're not going to get it. But you might take it to someone who's 55, and you don't know what their medical history is, and they might be really compromised. And just because you wanted to go out to Walmart and touch everything you could touch, they had to come in and get their medicine because Walmart doesn't have a drive-thru, and now you've made them sick. Right. And they might not make it to their next birthday.
And that's, also I think, that's someone's mother, someone's grandmother, all that. It's not just about yourself anymore.
Right, and that's what, and maybe this is a way of God saying, hey, you guys have been too selfish. You need to start thinking about everybody else.
Maybe, in a roundabout way, this is God's way of seeing the whole church whole again. We have to be united right now.
Exactly.
Right, and I feel
talking about health. Go ahead.
Okay, I feel like it's worth mentioning, wearing a mask and gloves does not requite you from social distancing. I've seen some people just doing whatever they want because they're wearing gloves and a mask. That's not how it works. You still need to stay away from people. I just thought that needs to be said.
That just reminded me that I'm the most unqualified person in this conversation. Because, you're a nurse practitioner and TJ's a biology major, so he's learning about viruses and stuff right now, and I'm just a guy. This is fun. I'm a guy who talks about those, so that makes me qualified, according to Facebook.
I do want to mention that, the world doesn't know what healthcare workers are going through. We are scared that we're taking it home to our families. We're undressing, like I go home, I take my shoes off, I take my scrubs off in the garage, and then I go up and take a shower so that I don't give it to my husband. My mom's calling me, wanting me to come over for her birthday, and it's like, you don't know who I see and what I see. It's not that I don't want to see you and celebrate your birthday, but I am trying to protect you from what I could give you.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand. We're sacrificing a lot as healthcare workers, and we're getting harassed in the public because of what we do, because we do take care of people who are sick. I want to read you a little excerpt from one of the healthcare worker sites that I'm on. This was a lady, and she said she wanted to let everybody know she does not condone violence, but she was at the gas station, and she was spit on because she was a healthcare worker. According to this woman, healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, and anyone caring for patients who are ill are the ones who are spreading this virus. She said that she didn't believe that she had any business being out, and that we are careless when we go out because we are wearing our scrubs. Well, she spit on her and she said, well, I don't condone violence, but she said, I'm stressed out. I am worried about my family. I'm worried about my kids. And she had told a story earlier that she had sent her 2 kids away and hasn't seen them now for like 8 weeks because she works in the ER. And so she did punch the lady, which she shouldn't have.
I'm okay. I'm okay with condoning that, actually.
Yeah. And she said again, I don't condone violence, but we are all terrified. We can catch the virus. And we can give it, like I said, to our spouses, our children, and to anyone we love that we live with. And she goes on to say, but spitting on someone who has done nothing to you is also very wrong. Educate yourself about good or hygiene. And if you don't need to be out, don't go out. That's what's going to stop it. We're not spreading it because we have to. We have to stop and get gas. We have to stop and pick up our medicines too. We have to stop and get groceries so we can feed our families. But you should appreciate anybody that you see out that is wearing scrubs. Because number one, you don't know what they just saw and what they just went through. And you don't know how terrified they are on the inside. Because we're really good about hiding our feelings because we learn to do that so that when we deliver bad news to you, we don't break down with you. So that you can lean on us.
Yeah. And now's the time more than ever, those in the medical field are front line against this pandemic, and we should really be treating them better than we treat anybody else instead of crazy spitting on people, just crazy stuff,
Right. So that being said,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
All right. So the medical field is facing a rather unique, to this time period, crisis all around the world today. Is there anything churches could be doing to better support our medical staff?
Well, prayer is always good. And I know, like I was talking about that lady, she has to go out and get gas, but like if you could drop off like a care package for them, like toilet paper or milk or paper towels, don't go in their house or anything, but like leave it in their yard and let them know, hey, I left this for you. I want to just say thank you. Or if you do see them out, give them a smile and say, hey, I see you in scrubs. I appreciate what you're doing.
Right. Yet not everyone has the luxury of, some Walmarts do the pickup grocery system. Some Walmarts have drive-through pharmacies. Some people live in places where they can get their groceries delivered to their house. I know, in the Northwest, people have non-self-service gas stations. Not everyone has those things.
Yeah.
Right. And here at our Walmart, and people are standing in line for 3 hours to get toilet paper. Well, when I'm doing a 12-hour shift, I don't have time to stand in line for 3 hours.
Right.
Half of the world is off, and you can go whenever you want, but we're still working. And some of us are working, 5 or 6 days straight, 12-hour days.
Yeah.
And that is terrible, yeah.
Yeah. DJ, just from what she said, I wanted to ask you, is it possible, because I know you know social media better than I do, is it possible for us to set up on our Instagram or Facebook or something, an event for everyone to pray at the same time for our medical field, those who follow us?
Yeah, we could do that through our Facebook. And we could make it a recurring daily event.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. We should do that. Yeah, I might have you show me how to do that, but I think that's something that we need to do right now.
And the other thing is, we're losing friends. We're losing people that we have known, people that have taught us, older nurses that have, that I've trained with, when I was first starting out, 13, 14 years ago, that are getting sick and not making it.
Oh.
And when you think about the fact that we're exposed to a lot more than just the regular public, and we're catching this. Our immune system, I would say, people that work in the ER and, family medicine and things like that. We're exposed to a lot of illnesses that the rest of the world aren't exposed to. And when we're getting it and we're getting sick, that should be a worry for you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we need the most, not to have it. Yeah. So, not to get away from those in the medical field and what we can do for them, but I did want to ask, I saw a lot of churches are doing food banks and that kind of stuff. Nearby here, a church actually, they donated a lot of meat to the Highway 55 here so that they could get out 2 free burgers to everybody who came by. And a lot of churches are doing that kind of stuff. Is that good in the sense that, people don't have food, so that's a good thing to do? Or is that something maybe to shy away from because it's getting people to all come to the same place?
I would say it would be good to shy away from it. I mean, it would be almost better if you did I know those truck services, maybe if you could keep it where only one person is out of the car at once. But those workers that are doing that, they're getting exposed to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And if they're not protected with masks and gloves and gowns and things like that, they're just exposing themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe like Pizza Hut and Domino's have been doing it, where they leave it at your door with a enclosed case,
right.
so they're never touching the box and going away.
Right.
Yeah,
that would be a lot better. Yeah. If you're going to do it, do something like that.
Yeah. In fact, I would encourage all churches to send me pizzas that way.
Right.
No, but it's not a terrible idea. My parents used to order pizza anytime I had a final coming up when I went to college at UNCW, and maybe that's not a terrible idea for a church to order pizza for some of their the people that they know maybe don't have as much food. Or do you know someone at your church who is in the medical field? Pizza's apparently being delivered safer than other stuff, so we'll do that.
Right.
Yeah,
I know my aunt likes pizza.
Yes, I do.
And Postmates has also started doing the same kind of no contact delivery, but that is less secure because the guidelines aren't as strict. But
right.
So what about individuals in the church who have been advised to make our own masks so that the medical field can have the real masks? Is that wise, and is there anything else individuals can do for their friends and family in the medical field?
Well, there is some controversy, like cloth masks, whether they're really going to protect you or not. But I mean, I always feel like anything is better than nothing. I think, if you're going to make them, then look online, look on the CDC. They have a website there that shows you things that you can put in them. I know some people are using coffee filters as a filter.
I saw that.
To kind of work in between. Work in between those fabrics. And hair covers is a big thing. You don't realize how often you touch your hair. And we're learning that this virus can live on your shoes, it can live in your hair, it can live on your skin for, however long. And so, anything that you can cover that can help them, protect them, because, everybody's scared of bringing it home.
Right. If you've got a wetsuit, start wearing your wetsuit.
Yes. Any hazmat suit you have, those could be useful right now.
Right.
Yeah. So, Jeannie, as people start sanitizing more, as they, cover their hair better, wear masks, all the stuff that, we've been talking about and, the government's been asking them to do, what difference is it really going to make? Is it really going to make a difference if, my neighbor Joe, I don't know if I have a neighbor named Joe or not, but let's say I do. Does it really make a difference if he does it? I mean, he's just one guy, right?
Yes, it makes a difference. I mean, the best thing you can do is if you don't have to go out, don't go out. Just don't go out. I mean, I have people that, still want to come in and be seen for every little thing. And we're trying to do more telehealth so that, one, I'm not exposed to you, but more importantly, you're not exposed to people I've had here already. Because you don't know who I've seen before you came in. And we try to clean up as best we can. And we try to, stop them at the door, don't come in until, we tell you can come in. And, some people get mad about that, but you gotta realize, I'm trying to keep you from getting sick, and I'm trying to keep myself from getting sick.
Yeah, Tiffany's best friend, she works at a veterinarian clinic. They do that where they're not letting people inside. They're coming and getting the animals and bringing them inside, and apparently they get chewed out all the time for that. They're like, well, no, you want to be with your dog, but we're putting your safety and your animals, because animals can get it too. We're putting everybody's safety first.
Right. Well, and and I ended up having to go to my parents' house because it was an emergency situation. But the whole time I'm thinking I should be taking my shoes off. I'm trying not to touch anything, trying to stay as far away from them as I can. I'm still taking care of the situation, but you know how stressful that is on healthcare workers. We're trying our best to keep you safe, and we see you out there at Walmart with all 7 of your children thinking, really? Just because you can go to Walmart doesn't mean you should.
Right. And during this pandemic, it's more important than ever that, people listen to the advice, the rules, the wisdom out there. But it's also more important than ever that the church is united, right? United to help the people who are lost, the people who are scared right now. A lot of people are terrified of this thing, the sick world. We can be praying for the sick. And, like we said, I think it's more important than ever that the church unites in helping our friends in the medical field, whether it's sending them pizza, dropping off toilet paper and milk at their front door, and, whatever you can do to help them, praying for them. Especially, we learned, I didn't even know that people were kind of harassing people in the medical field. I didn't even think about that. I knew from talking to another friend of mine who was originally going to be part of this, but, his hospital's not letting people talk about the virus at all. So I won't mention his name. I'll just say that's why he's not on here. But I know he even said, they're part of the hospital since they don't deal with the virus is so empty. There's no revenue coming in, so people are being laid off in the medical field. It's supposed to be some of the best job security there is, but they're being laid off. They're going out in public with scrubs on, getting spit at. It's a really hard time to be in the medical field, and I think it's more important than ever the churches unite and do these things, support them. Buy them a pizza, buy them milk, leave it at their door, whatever you can do. Don't wear gloves, sanitize, put your mask on. Don't bring your kids out. People in medical field are working hard to keep you safe. And the best we could do is at least be sensible and listen to some of the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and if you do go out to Walmart and somewhere in the public, when you go home, take a shower, wash that off. You don't know what you touched and what got on you.
So is there any other final piece of advice or anything that you'd like to just throw out there for churches or individuals or anything?
Just use your common sense, if you touch something, wash your hands. Think about everything as if you're getting ready to eat, is what I tell my patients. Like, if you pump gas, would you open a bag of chips and start eating it? No, you'd wash your hands first.
Oh,
then
definitely
you'd eat
not.
the chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just use that common sense, If you load your groceries and you unload them at home, don't you always wash your hands before you go and do anything else?
Oh, yeah.
When you're cooking, you wash your hands how many times when you're cooking?
A million.
Well,
Especially if I'm touching meat.
So just think about that. If I use my hands, I need to wash them.
Yeah.
And I feel like the thing that really gets me is the people with the gloves on that are touching their eyes and their face. People don't realize you can transmit the virus through your eyes, through your nose, through your mouth.
Right. Which is amazing to me because hasn't everyone always been taught that?
Yeah, we just all ignored it until now. Yeah.
Yeah, they ignored it until now. Yeah. And just, if you see a healthcare worker out there, don't spit on them. Don't yell at them and say, why didn't they go home and take a shower first? We doing the best we can.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact,
that's good.
If you can afford it, and you see them out somewhere that you're at, pay for whatever they're there for. Like if they're at the gas station and they're getting something to eat on their way into work, buy that bag of chips, buy their drink, whatever. We need to support them now more than ever. And that's just something little. I think everybody, most people, not everybody, most people can do that. Because chances are you're at the gas station and get a drink too.
Right. And then, think about the people that aren't working. A lot of people are still proud and they don't like to ask for help. So if a family has like 4 or 5 kids and neither one of them are working, buying them a gallon of milk or a bag of cereal will go a long way.
It's something my pastor did that, luckily, I say luckily, I'm still working because I'm at Chipotle and Tiffany had some money put aside, so we've been okay here. But my pastor actually texted us probably a week or 2 weeks into this thing, just to see if we had everything we needed. And I thought that was crazy. Our church, I want to say probably between 200 and 300 people go there. I don't know exactly, but the fact that the pastor would take his time to just to send me a text and say, "Hey, do y'all have what you need?" It made me think he's probably doing that for pretty much everybody at the church. Knowing my pastor, Pastor Gary, he's been on the podcast before. Knowing him, I believe it. I drive by the church on my way to work and I see his car's there. He's still in his office. So I'm thinking that's what he's doing right now. He's calling all of those people. He's texting everybody. He's making sure everyone's taken care of. And that's not just the pastor's job, right? That's the whole church's job. And I'm going to say hats off to Pastor Gary, and also a challenge to everybody else. Let's check up on one another, make sure everyone's okay
from a distance.
And call Pastor Gary and see if he has everything he needs.
Yeah, everybody call Pastor Gary. We'll give his number right. But no, those of you who do attend my church, I do encourage calling, checking up on your pastors, all of them. I texted Chris the other day. I try and check up on them, and I think it's important you do that for your pastoral staff, as well as all of your friends in the medical field. Just check up on everybody on your phone.
That's
at
right.
home.
Yeah, a phone call is perfectly safe.
Yeah.
As far as we know.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. Just clean your phone too. If you had it out and you touched a bunch of stuff, make sure you wipe your phone off.
Sanitize.
Yeah, well, let's all wipe your phone.
Yeah.
So I don't believe we have anything else to ask. Josh, is there anything?
No, I think that pretty much wraps up. We just got a couple more stuff we do before, we end. One's after the podcast, so everybody hang in there, go to our Patreon, and you can hear the ending stuff. But I think we're ready to start wrapping it up, DJ.
All right. So the last thing we do, as a part of the podcast, is always our God moment of the week. We're expanding it to 2 weeks. As usual for Joshua, it is any time in the past 27 years.
Hey, 28 now.
Oh, my bad.
That first year was very eventful with God and me.
But, so, basically it's a moment in our lives, the past week or two, where we saw God. Whether it be small things, big things, what have you. So that's what we'll do now. Josh, would you like to go first?
Sure. I don't want to name drop, but I'll say one of my friends that we recently found out she might have the virus, and when I got that news, I think it really shocked me. I won't say that I've been lax about this whole thing. I'm pretty well educated. I do the common sense thing, wash my hands and everything, but it never hit me. This has just been almost like watching a TV show. This whole virus thing, I'm like, oh, everybody's acting weird. I'm gonna, do what people tell me to do, but it never hit me. It never sunk in as real until I think that moment. And I was like, oh, wow, this is affecting people I know, right? And I don't know, it shook me up a little bit until, it still does, but Easter Day, we had our online service at our church, and our assistant pastor, he got up there and talked about how upset he was we weren't going to have Easter service together until he realized that because churches are doing everything online and everything, that this Easter Day of this year may have been the largest proclamation of the gospel ever. And, I really thought about that. I was like, wow, that sounds over-exaggerated. That sounds like a lot of hype, but I know that friend, they were isolated. They don't usually attend church, but from what I hear, they saw some stuff online. They were aware of stuff. They watched some of the videos. Maybe not a whole service, but, that happened. I know my uncle this was crazy to me. He hasn't gone to a church service with us in years. But my mom FaceTimed my grandma, and he was in the same room, and they held the phone up to watch our service on our TV from FaceTime. So it was like double screen. Which, I probably not the best way to watch it. Probably higher quality out there, but my uncle heard the gospel preached for the first time in a long time, and I don't know, it really sunk in that, yes, this thing is awful, but also, God works everything for good, and that's just, I don't know, it's really cool, really, really cool to see that happen, even in such a tragic time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, my God moment is from today, just a few hours ago.
Wow.
A good friend of mine, he texted me, and he was like, hey, I've been trying to make sure that I'm praying as efficiently as I can. Is there anything I can pray for you for? And it's really nice to see that even during these times, there are people who know what matters. It's their connection with God. So I thought that was really cool.
It is really cool. Jeannie, have you had a God moment of the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, actually, lady that I work with, she had to go in quarantine because she was exposed to the COVID virus. And I asked her, I said, is there anything you need? I said, I know this is probably scary. And she goes, I'm not scared. She goes, I serve a faithful God who tells me I fear not. And that's what I remember every day when I go to work. I serve a faithful God who tells me do not fear.
Hallelujah. That's powerful.
Praise Him.
Yeah.
All right. So, if you've listened to this point, thank you, first of all, and congratulations, because you get to hear the outro.
Yeah.
And hopefully you learned something.
I did. The glove thing was, I haven't been wearing gloves, but I hadn't thought about that before, so that was interesting to me. And I didn't know that nurses have been harassed, so I learned a lot, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, not good stuff, but good stuff to know.
Yeah.
So we'd like
thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, you can't go anywhere, Jeannie.
Yeah, we still have we have a segment afterwards for just our patron listeners, which is you, Annette, and like 4 other people.
Oh. Okay.
This is for you. We need you to stay on for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Everyone else, though.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Again, we'd like to request your support on Patreon.
Yeah, if you're going to listen to this so far, you might as well give us like $2 a month. You can be cool like Jeannie.
Right.
That's right.
Again, if you know someone or you yourself would like to take a crack at making a theme song for us, that seems like a pretty cool thing to get into while you're quarantined.
Yeah. Someone who wants pastime, there you go.
All right, download Fruity Loops.
Right up your Uncle Jerry's alley.
Yeah, someone let Uncle Jerry know.
Yeah, so talk to Uncle Jerry. Anything else, Josh? I know, follow us on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. Again, comments and shares are almost worth as much as money sometimes. Occasionally we expend some of our Patreon funds towards advertising so people can see their posts. But it's a lot more effective to just have people share it, right? That way we can use our funds from Patreon for gas, for mics, for Skype calls. If you guys share, you guys comment, that's what lets people see it more than anything, right? If you're on Facebook, you're sharing this talk with Jeannie, you're commenting on stuff on Instagram, that lets more and more people see it. And that helps us a lot get more listeners, get more supporters, get the word out about church unity, get the word out about safety during this virus, all of that. Yeah, that was like a quick, shotgun rant.
Right.
Yeah.
And
who are some future guests, DJ?
Future guests. Whoever wants to be on.
Yeah, all of our patrons.
Literally everyone.
Pastor Gary is going to be on soon. once this quarantine's lifted, we've talked to Father Christian Siskos from the Greek Orthodox Church here in Charlotte about coming back on. There's a few other guests I think we have lined up, but most importantly, at the end of this season, TJ.
At the end of the season, we will, of course, have Francis Chan.
He just doesn't know.
Right. He just has to call us and let us know when season 1's going to end.
Yeah, we've just been calling every contact there is in Zoom. I just hit 0000001. Try that and just go through every single number until eventually we find him.
Yeah, we're about to reach the ones.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you want to hear the rest, go to patreon.com/The Whole Church Podcast. Until next time.